I am entropy. I am death. I am dark side.
From the ashes they will rise in a world of dark sides, twisted lies. Absolute DC, where darkness reigns. With science, race the chase. Gather round, hear the call. Diving deep with more it all. Absolute with science. Absolute with science.
The Elseworld has changed and risen to become the absolute universe. May the presence have mercy on our souls. I'm Eric Shea, AF.
And I'm Jim Warner.
And this is Absolute Weird Science, episode number 4.
Is it episode 5 now? Now that we're doing it again? Thanks, everybody. And if you were watching this live, somehow, I don't know, maybe the gods were looking down on you. I don't know what happened. Some settings and things like that. What happened is you got involved. I had to listen to that song twice now. I do like that song. Stork is in the chat. I'm sure he's chatting up your lyrical genius. You are a lyrical gangster, is what they say. But welcome, everybody,
to feels good to be a gangster.
Our absolute Weird Science, Absolute DC Comics podcast. And as I said already, but nobody heard it, we are here. Yeah, you did. I think that you would say it was very,
Stop stammering this time and actually get through.
How about this? How about I come over, I'll stammer my ass over to your house and I'll beat the crap out of you. How about that?
You have no idea where I live.
I got an idea. I have an idea. I'll go there. I'll just start yelling for you. You'll come out. I'll rip my shirt out. Everybody will laugh at me, and then you'll go back in. It'll be awesome. But here we are. We're going to be talking about Absolute Batman number 2 that came out this week. And as I said before to nobody but you, this is a deal where I think that most people like Absolute Batman, the most. And it was the idea that, you have the Absolute Batman, then Wonder Woman, then Superman. And it did seem to kind of like trickle down a bit of the enthusiasm when we got to Superman. That seems to be the one that people are most divided on in my mind. It's weird, too. The people who hate it the most don't seem to have read either the Wonder Woman or the Superman anyway. And
that's how it is with everything.
And start yelling about, like, I can't believe that this other Earth with this crazy stuff going on, there's different characters there. And that's kind of ridiculous. But I think that for the most part, people do like this Batman. We'll see if that continues this week. This is an issue that's kind of a setup type of issue, which is weird. It's character building and things like that. But we'll get into that in a moment. I just want to let everybody know. Well, it's not weird, but I thought it was going to have more oomph. It ends up having some weird thing in it with that stupid truck or whatever it was. But when we get to that, we'll get to that. But before we go into this whole deal, please, everybody, if you could and would and should, go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science, where we have a ton of shows. One of the big shows is every Thursday night. Me and Eric get together, and we have our Badass Patreon Spotlight show. 2 books from that week picked by the badasses of the Get Fresh crew. And this week, they ended up picking the Elseworlds type vein, the DC versus Vampires World War V. I don't know. I'm hoping that they decide that this Vampire versus DC thing gets kicked out the wazoo. You get the DC versus Vampires World War V number 4 and Batman Gotham, I guess, like the Kryptonian Age number 6, which surprisingly a finale to the season. We were talking about it and on the Patreon Spotlight. We ended up talking a lot about the idea that we always thought it was 12 issues when it first came out. It seemed like some places had it as 12.
Yeah,
it's still going to be 12. It's just going to take longer. And it's a bad play. Again,
because of that, you have a story for the Kryptonian Age that has no completion. It feels like it did nothing, and now we have to wait for the next bit, months down the line, to have the League of Justice to get a complete story that feels like it was actually earned.
Yeah, and again, what really does screw up, sales and screw up people with the series, and I don't think the series is really that popular. Me and you like it, and when we ended up reviewing it, I think almost every, if not all, the issues were on our Patreon Spotlight every week it came out.
I believe so.
We end up where you started out, you liked it more than I did, and then I kind of passed you at one point. I actually liked it a little more as it went on, but at the end, you just end up like, why? What happened? I was
right.
Well, but then I was, because you weren't so low as I was. The first issue, and I didn't care for it. And actually, I think I was right, because we do go back, and I was saying, why are we dealing with all this nonsense? It kind of ended up like that by the end because we really didn't complete the stuff. And this whole let's start up just feels like it's going to feel like a delay. It's going to end up killing it. It's a shame because we do like it.
What are you talking about? It's not going to kill it. It's going to come out with a new number one, and people love that.
Well, collectors do, maybe. I don't think that people
love the number ones.
This is the thing. I do love the number ones, not with one series. I like the new number ones when you're starting something new, not a second arc. I mean, that would be the idea if every arc had a new number one. That's ridiculous. This, the way they're playing it out, is more of a jumping off point than I think would be a jumping on when we do get back to it. But seriously, stop with your nonsense. I do like number ones. I like number zeros. I like number 69. Dude, I love them all. I love numbers.
Numbers are great.
They're awesome. You can always count on them, Eric. See, there you go.
You did it.
It's a pretty good pun. No, the idea of something new, then let's get a new number one so people know to jump in.
It's the League of Justice.
Not jump back in. I don't need that. But all in all, go to our Patreon and the Patreon Spotlight and listen to that, and a bunch of other shows as well. We have people in the chat when we're doing it live right now. We have Zach, who me and him do a year one podcast, though he would probably say, we usually do on a Friday, and you never got a hold of me. That's what he's probably saying now. But we have this, and I know that you're such a stickler for the production values that I bring to the show, like my mic not working at the beginning. Like that is always good.
Being on time, having things at work, I got you.
Yeah, I know. It's like you're there smoking, waiting, and I'm grabbing visuals and all that, but it's fine.
I got here 10 minutes early, set up everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you? You set up your laptop and a mic.
Yep.
I ended up.
I got all my notes.
I had to get all my pictures. I had to figure out how to work this. That's probably what screwed it up. I was trying to figure out the software. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then I'm grabbing songs. I'm doing that. And, oh, my goodness gracious.
Okay, Boomer.
A lot of work is what it is, Eric. A lot of work. But we're here for fun. There's no work here. It's a lot of fun. And we're going to get into this. It is, and I'll give you the credits, is Absolute Batman number 2, written by Scott Snyder, art by Nick Dragotta, colors by Frank Martin, and letters by Clayton Coles. And so we continue on, obviously. And with this whole new setup, you go in wanting to see, okay, what's new, what's going on. And from what we had in the first issue, this was more of a straightforward book in my mind than the other two. The other two have really drastic changes. This is definitely. Like, it ends up where if you squint enough, you're just like, yeah, it's Batman. That's just
me. That's the thing, is you can't see
right?
Going throughout his main, problem for the current day Absolute Batman, and you have a little bit of sprinkling in of the backstory. The other ones, we're spending a lot of time in the backstory, and the main present day stuff is just sprinkled in, it feels like.
Yeah, and so what you will get usually in these different versions of Batman, you're going to see, okay, does both his parents die in the alley?
No!
Does he cry about the pearls? Right? You get that? And then see who... the lay of the land and who the villains might be and whatnot. So
party animals.
End up going, the party animals. It's weird, too, because this issue, they're there, obviously, but you don't really have Black Mask except on a video screen. And so that made it feel a little less, because what Scott Snyder seems to want to do here is, go to the friends, show a little more of his mom, show a little more of the backstory and stuff like that, and lead to what looks like maybe a friendship between old Alfred and the Batman.
Who this Batman is through his past.
So when we end up where we go, and I do love the art. I think the art really excels in this issue. I really liked it. And you end up where you start, and there's young Bruce, and he's, his dad's dead outside of this door, but he's still in that bat. I was going to say cage, that bat exhibit.
That's even the worst part about it, because his father had led everybody into the bat exhibit, the bat sanctuary as it was, and he was shot to death by Joe Chill. Now his body is actually leaned up against the door, so Bruce can't get out to even find it, whether his father's dead or alive at this point. I don't know where the rest of his friends are, because all the field trip people were brought into this whole place, but it's just Bruce against the door when bats start attacking him and crawling all over him, traumatizing him for life.
Yeah. And it is, and the connection of the idea that he's desperately, wants his dad to respond, but he's not. Spoiler, Eric, he's dead. And then the bats attack. That is double fold there. There's not the quite of, hey, Daddy, I will become the bat. It's forced on him, but he ends up getting really scared, right?
Dad can still hear you becoming the Batman right now, screaming.
I will become the bat. I just wondered
The
at this
bats
point.
may become me at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Then I went, all of a sudden we see that the perception's off, that these are just I don't know where all the other kids are.
That's what I'm saying.
And so when you have that, I'm like,
they moved back into safety.
They got the hell out. They went out the back door. They're running back to their houses.
Honestly, you see that as a weird bit of a joke, but in the psychosis of it, like Bruce facing all of these things, he knows he's in the Bat Sanctuary. We've had a foreshadowing of it before we even got to the gunman Joe Chill shooting his father. But the idea of his friends always being there for him, we see it in the the flashbacks of after his father died, to where Bruce goes to the poker game and meet up with him years later as they're an adult. But what if in his fucked up psychosis of this whole thing, where the bats are covering him, obviously it doesn't make sense with what Jim Gordon says later, how he found Bruce, but can you imagine if all his friends are there just trying to hug him, snap him out of it, and he just sees them as the bats?
That's what I'm saying. At first I kind of thought it was that, but
Jim Gordon kind of dispels that when he talks to Martha about it later on, how he found Bruce.
When he talks to Martha later, he's like, and then I heard that scream. It was him, because he doesn't like to be touched, Eric. It's all his friends that they scatter. Yeah, you don't like to be touched. I might come over and hug you then. Instead of beating you up, I'll hug you. Yeah,
you got the old man chicken pox. I don't need that.
Yeah, I do. I have what is it called? I almost said I have the scabies again. That's what you kept saying. Then I was going to say today
Shingles,
I ended up
Jim. Shingles.
I'm talking to Zach, my son Zach, and I'm like, hey, I got the scurvy. And I'm like, that, and he's like, eat lemons or something. All right, we don't have lemons here, but that's not what I have. But yeah, so
Dad, I grew up in that house. All we had was lemons.
Yeah, really? Oh my! Especially the cars, right? Is that what you're saying? The lemons.
No.
But you end up and it's funny too, because then when we go into the part of the proper issue, you do end up having Batman throwing party animals left and right. And at first, I'm like, is that him throwing his friends? And oh no, it's Batman. But it's kind of a cool little symbolism where you do have him, screaming, and the bats kind of dissipate off him there, but he's also kind of throwing these party animals around. And this is
now the bats are attacking everybody else, just like they did him as a boy.
Yeah, and you do get that whole the cape is a weapon. You end up seeing that, though you don't quite get it. And again, this is a vicious Batman, and I'm not getting out of this whole review or this issue without thinking that he has killed many people again.
Everybody are fine.
There are people. I'm telling you,
maimed, but they'll live.
This guy that he hits with his cape, I think that they don't quite show him being decapitated.
It's just a cape.
The thing is hard to steal.
It's a clothesline. You watch it wrestle it all the time.
Dead. The speed factor there, then he blows up buildings. There's no way. People were arguing, actually, about last issue, saying, oh, no. Those were non-lethal explosives that he blew up outside the deal. What the hell's non-lethal explosives?
The small
what
kind.
Is that? The tiny kind? No, the tiny kind are the things that blow your hand off July 4th.
What is that, like an M20?
Things like that. Yeah, 20, 30, whatever it takes, Eric. I don't know. They ended up where one guy immediately, when the Dodgers won the World Series, the smack ass, he ran out to the street to set fireworks, blew his hand right off. That's what happens there. But you end up having the whole, thanks a lot, Obama. You end up where all this stuff going on, and you have Batman, he's stabbed and things like that, but you have an overall narration of Alfred, who's watching him and saying that he is actually helping him. He is actually helping them with surveillance protectors and things. Some of the things that Alfred says I don't quite get, but you get
even
the
idea, because it seems like he is helping to a degree to make sure that the party animals stay off his scent, so they don't find his secret lairs in the high rises across Gotham that Alfred found him in the last issue. And at one point, his managers, his superiors, they tell him, you got to stop with all this nonsense. Just let the Batman be, because he's just as bad as these things. Just surveil. And Alfred's telling himself at this point, look, I can surveil the party animals just like I was sent here to do. But it's better if I surveil them with the Batman, because it gives me more data. And that's why he's helping in the back of his mind. He's told not to do this. And as soon as that happens, the party animals are able to find Bruce's high rises, little bat caves that he has. And I'm like, what were you doing to keep them off the trail?
Yeah. What was the surveillance protectors? What was he doing? And that's the other thing, though. To me, I think that's a bad step, because if the party animals find those, what he calls caves, but it's just those, offices, high rises deal. I think you figure out that Bruce Wayne's Batman then. I think that connects it too much. That's how Alfred figured out it was Bruce. Because of that, it was weird. I thought that was an odd thing, but in that, the
Not
first
as
issue,
odd as as Alfred Pennyworth going through to figure out where all his little mini Batcaves or all his Batcaves are across the city.
There's a couple forced things in this, right?
He realizes that it's shaped like that giant bat symbol across the city. Like, come on.
It would be funny when he's doing, because he is going and like, okay, this cave's here, that cave's there. We've had this a bunch of times. You even have it on fire in the movies. But when you end up where you see it, I wanted him to be like, I don't know what this is because it's that chunky symbol. He's like, I don't know quite what this is. Also, it's one of those, like, if he looks at it upside down, it would scroll him. But it is forced.
Why would he look at it upside down?
I don't know. You know, he's doing this. He's standing on his head. I don't know. But it's forced, though. And so in this, you end
very
up,
Batman.
And there's a couple forced things in this. There's more of a forced scene coming up. But he's sitting there thinking, okay, here's this guy, Batman Bruce Wayne. He knows who it is. And you either have to be AF or R&R. And it's, again, that's just to say later Batman AF. It's kind of a, a chuckle, but it is kind of eye-rolling. But it is the advance forward, or is he the retreat F and regroup? At one point he yells. The weird thing, though, Alfred in the first issue, he was told, okay, you're there to, survey, as you said, he's looking at the party animals. Then they say there's this other, entity, the Batman, and if he gets there, engage with him, take him down. Now it's like not quite that, but they don't want him to help. It's very odd, the whole play, but you do end up having Alfred say that because of what Batman's doing, it's actually helping him. And he wants to do the best thing that you can do when you're in Gotham.
Get the hell out of Gotham.
Get the hell out of Gotham. That's the thing. Hey, what's great to do in Gotham? Get the hell out of Gotham. So he says that, and he wants to tell his handlers like that. He wants to plead the case. Well, listen, if I help him, it helps them, but he's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'll just follow the orders. So he takes down these protections. And then you end up where. But again, when he takes down the protections and the party animals realize and go after him, it's more of like, it's kind of fun for Alfred. He seems to be having a hoot watching
it's the
Batman.
greatest reality show he's ever been on TV.
Yeah, he's loving it. And he ends up where he's like, okay, these guys are coming at you. What are you going to do now?
Now, Bruce, they figured out that you're not in the Gotham's Twin Towers. You're in the Gotham's Quadruple Towers here that we got, and they're coming for you right away. But Batman, he is ready for the situation to come because the party animals think they got him dead to rights at this point. They're all running up the stairs, going freaking elevators, just making their way up to the top of this one tower. And all of a sudden, Batman blows the top of this tower up, just giving that whole little fear to Gotham, the idea that you have to fear the Batman, because when it does blow up, all that's left is the idea of the pointy ears of the top of the sides of the tower and also the burning eyes of the Batman.
Yeah, again, like, how long did this take him to get in that? It's just, you know what I mean?
It's a few bits of C4 here, some fucking fire.
It's just weird the way they do it. It's just weird how it's set up to go with that idea of like, okay, I do that. Also, when you usually have this, you do end up having the play where Bruce will blow up a building, but you're like, well, he's rich. He ain't rich here. Like, he's just blowing up buildings now. Like, the whole
thing is,
town
at
is in
this
trouble.
point, he is the engineer. He helps construct. I don't even know how it works, but he helps construct these high rises and stuff like that. These aren't occupied at the time, so they're not finished yet. But he's making sure that him and the rest of his people in his union can continue their work indefinitely.
Yeah, it's crazy, though, the idea that that's what it is.
The man of the people.
Now we got to clean up. Everybody has a job. Hey, you should get
rebuilding commence.
It's so crazy the way that it goes, but it ends up, again, there's a lot of eye rolls here, especially where you end up already having the one. Then you have Batman AF while you're looking at a burning building that looks like Batman.
Look, besides your Batman AF, I think that the imagery is really cool. I actually like this whole progression of the fight. Even Batman, a poorer Batman than we see in our main continuity, like he's throwing a vinegar pellet into salt water to turn it into acid. So the party animals at the aquarium that they're fighting at originally, they have to run out because their feet are burning off.
Yeah, and toes are going maybe tallywhackers.
Again, they're
very
alive,
vicious. Very vicious. And yeah, they're toeless. I guess I was just going to say I'd rather die. I don't think I'd rather die.
No.
The idea of missing 2 toes, I think I can deal with it.
I got a few toes missing. If I get a wheelchair out of this, a motorized one, I'm cool.
Oh, a wheelchair. Look at you lazy ass. Just because you're missing 2 toes.
You're about to kill yourself.
You need a wheelchair because you're missing 2 toes. Holy, what would you? I got a hangnail. I need a neck brace.
I hung out there for a while to be called Stumpy.
That's right. That's what you did. Better yet, you're there and I'm like throwing the ball and you're still dropping it. I don't know why that the wheelchair would make you more coordinated.
I don't know. I don't have any hand-eye coordination. I'm legally blind.
That is true. You are. You are a horrible
I can still
athletic
dunk
person.
on you.
I don't know if you could. Maybe a donut, you fat ass. You end up where you then go off to see Gordon. And
It's delicious.
No. Dunkin' Donuts is the worst. It wrecks everything. It wrecks the drink and the donut. It
Makes
does.
it better.
No, so first up, the idea where the worst thing when you're a cereal eater, right? Like you are, and I don't mean breakfast cereal. The idea is it gets soggy and shit.
Tell me what the worst thing is
on
for
the
me.
bottom. But I'm saying you end up having, but yet you're doing the same thing with a donut. Shit falls off. It's in there. Like,
not if you do it right.
Well, would you dunk like a cream filled donut? Would that be be weird, right? That'd be
I'm saying a ring donut. So you take a bite and you get that ring in there. Soak it up, and it's delicious.
You're talking that Dunkin' Donut, the plain that donut sucks. It's the Cheerios of donuts. It's not even good, and then you dunk it into coffee.
Brand was built off this concept for years.
I just think people like it has a good mouthfeel. It's ridiculous.
Sure it does.
Yeah, come over there. You end up where Gordon,
especially if you got like a hard chocolate glazed donut, and then all the stuff that stays in there, and the chocolate's still good. And if a little bit of chocolate drips down, now you have like more of a chocolate coffee.
Yeah, I don't like chocolate coffee. I'm not really into
anything.
No, I actually like peppermint coffee. I enjoy that
you do.
now, and I like the caramel. The caramel, as they say. Yeah, I don't really like chocolate donuts either. And the worst is a chocolate, like a glazed chocolate with actual chocolate icing. That's the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's too much, right? So you end up, So you end up where you then go to Gordon, jacked up Gordon. Look at him. Holy moly. Like he's showing off his tattoo. Don't show your tattoos. He's going to show his. But you end up where.
You say that. I'm telling you, if Gordon is bedridden after being shot by the party animals, all I can do is stare at this freaking lean, mean Bullock we have in this universe.
Who's this, like, bro Jesse Bullock? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy, like, who is this guy?
He's my new best friend.
Yeah. He still looks like a dick, though, in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Mike makes right completely. He's, like, all about getting some, like, aerial surveillance, some freaking weapons and helicopters, weapons on the streets. More guns, more funds.
Yeah, I don't like when the sunglasses up there on his head. I don't like that.
You don't like anything, I know.
No, I'm saying that move's like a dick move. But you end up having Barbara there, and they're sitting talking to him. And while that's going on, you do have ex-Mayor Hill who's saying he's going to probably start running again because Gotham's a cesspool. Jim Gordon is terrible, and he is going to get in the race. Jim Gordon, of course, is in the hospital, so he can't really do much of anything right now. But Bullock is there.
Even before this, he was going to lose this race. We find out from Two-Face later on in this whole thing. So it only makes sense for Mayor Hill to say, well, I'm going to try to get reelected this term, because with Batman out there, he's escalating the situation. The party animals are escalating to escalate his situation. So shit is just getting worse and worse. So I need to come in here and clean up the streets off of incompetent, hospital-ridden Gordon.
Yeah. And so you have that going on, and he's like, hey,
sleeping Gordon.
He's look at him in bed. Guy doesn't even get up. Probably will need a wheelchair, Eric, like you. But you end up where Bullock gets a call. He gets called off. The party animals have attacked again, and he is Mike makes right. He wants more guns. He wants guns, helicopters, all that stuff. And Gordon's like, no, this is escalating. This is also what ends up being the talk about Batman. If Batman, they're already asking if Batman's good for everything going on. Is Batman there? Is he escalating the problem with the party animals? The party animals are killing kids. I don't know that it's escalating, right?
Everybody.
Yeah, and so they might be escalating it a little quicker, but things were going to go bad anyway. And as we find out again when we go to the buddies, they say that the party animals, they're there for chaos. They are not there for power or money, though everybody seems to have a theory, even Bruce, about why they'd be there. So Bullock and Barbara have to leave, but in the meantime, Martha has shown up, and it's a nice deal.
A fresh pack of smokes from Mayor Gordon.
I'm like, what? Right away, I don't like her.
Again,
she's smoking.
I'm telling you, smoking's fine. She's taking a drag to get it lit for Gordon. That's pretty much what it is.
In
old
the
friend is
hospital,
hanging
right?
out. That's the worst part, though. Just opening a window in the hospital. I'm like, that's kind of a crummy move right there.
What a crumb bum. Yeah, end up where she's there and talking. It's nice, though. I thought they were going to start making out. They
might still in my mind.
And it did annoy me.
It's hard on the road.
The mayor. Hey, mayor. I'm like,
Mark.
Yeah, I don't know. Mari. I think it's... Martha. Why was I thinking?
What the
I
hell are you
still
talking
go
about?
with Mare. Mar seems weird to say.
I say
For
Mare
some
for my
reason-
friend Merrily, but it's Martha.
Tanya used to say for Aunt Mary, Mare. That's why I read it like that. I was completely wrong. But ends up where the weird thing of let's go down memory lane while we're having a smoke like a badass.
So I do all the time.
Remember that? I was thinking the other day about how I, saw Bruce after your husband got shot, and he was in these, bats, and I can still hear that scream because she ends up saying, "Oh man, Thomas, he'd really love it if he was around. He'd love this Batman." And they start talking a little bit about that, and then Gordon's like, "Damn it, friend zoned again."
It's so weird though, the idea, because I can still see these two hooking up and becoming a couple as the series progresses.
I'll give you my theory. I think that Martha's going to die, and I think she's going to die quick. Here's the thing: you say, "Oh my God,"
you say that about everybody.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I was thinking about it when you have books like this, and you'd say, "Oh my God, Martha's dead." People be like, "Yeah." She usually
Not
is,
in this universe.
Right? Yeah, but it'll just be the same kind of thing. I think that Batman, I think Bruce needs something to kickstart him in again. He seems very over the top. It might be just Alfred maybe meeting up with him.
I'm just saying, you kill his mother. You think he's over the top now. You just wait and see.
No, but it seems like he's like, I don't know. He seems like he's violent, but he doesn't really have that much of a purpose, the whole deal of it. But we'll see. We'll see as it goes on. But the whole idea back in the day. The thing is,
back in the day, they're talking about the idea, like, how's Bruce been doing? I don't even know anymore. And it seems like a weird situation where you want to talk about how you don't really know your son. He's off doing all this stuff. He's always out of the house. But what we go and see, though, is like Bruce Wayne 11 years ago. Like, why are we going back that far after the death of his father for you to say, this is how I don't know my son?
And
I decided after
thing.
This instance, I wouldn't ask him ever again, maybe. I don't know.
The weird thing about it, though, is the fact that last issue, they were hanging out. That's why Alfred didn't kill him. He ended up going, and he's like, "Oh, there's his mom." This only seems to be like 3 weeks later. Even Alfred's like, "Yeah, he's not hanging out with his mother." It's 3 weeks. I mean, if that, 3 weeks can be an eternity. I haven't talked to my mother in like 10 years, and I never will. But the idea also, she's dead to me, Eric. But the idea that he's busy. But you know what I mean? Like, and
I know.
When she was talking to him, he just went, and she basically, the way that it plays out is like, Bruce? That guy never talks to me. I'm like, he just did. It felt a little forced with the deal. You do go back.
Especially because what we go back and we see is stuff from, like I said, 11-some years ago. Like, yeah, he was going through some stuff at that point. Tell me what happened lately that you don't know what he's going through.
Yes, yeah. What have you done for me lately, Mar? So you end up where she ends up going in the room and he's very depressed. And I said this would be the problem of it, the big play of it. What's going on there? You end up where his whole play of getting the trip because of his science award and things like that led to his dad's death. Now, it's not his fault, but, you can only think that, oh, man, if I didn't win this stupid science fair, I could have whatever. And then we even saw in the first issue, it kind of goes a little bad later. He gets arrested at one point. But in the whole play of this, he ends up throwing that medal out the window and then tells his mom, like, what I'll say is he's 8 years old or so here. He's acting more like a 15-year-old because you get to that point. Mom, I told you not to come in without knocking. He's like really pissed off. And then I guess this one time was enough for her. She's like, all right, I won't ask
Never
that
talk to that boy again.
I'm not going to ask that asshole that question.
He comes
anymore.
around every now and again. Mum's the word.
Yes, exactly. So and she even says, hey, your friends are outside on the stoop. And he's like, I don't want to talk to him. Oh, maybe you should just go and see him. Like, I told you, Mom, get the hell out of here.
Which leads to a great bit for this whole thing for the wraparound, because we see back in the day that his friends were around. He didn't want to be around his mother and his friends, anybody. He just wanted to freaking brood at this point in time. Think about what kind of Batman he will become in the future when he's a grown-ass man. But you do get to see by the end of this issue that Selena Kyle broke into his room and said, come on, you're coming with me, to show how close they are at this point in time and how much she'll mean to him later on.
Yeah, and even with that, though, when we do have the present, nobody knows where she is. She hasn't been around. We set up that idea where, well, that's the last card the one guy got. But you set up with Waylon, said, hey, are you going to be coming over for, poker night? You've been there for a while. Selena hasn't been around, whatnot. And so he does go to do that. Also, we didn't say the one thing, too, is when Alfred was tailing him and watching him, the idea where he went and talked to Joe Chill. And Alfred's like, I don't know what he said. but I'd like him more for it. I'm like, all right. I'm like, really?
Again, I didn't talk about it just because I'm like, this did nothing for me. He went and saw Joe Chill in prison, the man who killed his father. Alfred couldn't hear what he said. We couldn't hear what he said, so it meant nothing to me for the issue.
He's like, I saw a lot of F's being, enunciated, the funny thing is,
Can't he turn down a visitor?
He's supposed to look like, the movie deal. He's supposed to look like Robert Pattinson, I think. He looks like Gerard Way. I was waiting for him to go in hey, I got to get going, Joe Chill. I have a concert to go to with My Chemical Romance or something. I think that he looks cool there, but doesn't look like he usually looks. It was a weird deal. But he goes to play poker with the buddies. And what I did like, and I think that Scott Snyder gets pretty well in this scene, and you probably have had it way more than a lot of people. It's the idea of what your friends bust your balls when you finally do show up for something.
Oh, yeah.
When you don't do a lot, and they're all like, "Oh, Jesus criminy!" Like, who's the one who
Thank
invited
you for
him?
gracing us with your presence.
It's pretty funny, but this is where you get some forced stuff. I mean, I'm telling you, I would say, you end up where they're talking and you have Whalen. He's going to take a picture of Bruce. Oh my God, I got to get a picture of you.
No pictures.
And
you end
Penguin. Up. Yeah, it says, and no.
He's a little bit underhanded, this friend.
That's the thing. I think that the no pictures actually
I'm sorry. The thing is, that is Harvey, but the thing is, because the Penguin is there because he's a little underhanded, so I can't show myself working in the DA's office like this with the rest of you cretins.
That Penguin is jacked. But then he goes, har, you effing two-face. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Oh, no, it's full of this whole thing. Even when he gets hit in the face with a chip, like, whack!
Yeah.
And then when you have later on when Harvey's talking about, let me give you my 2 cents.
He says, that's a coin that we don't flip. Really? I'm waiting for riddle me this. I'm
sitting here like, come on, you guys can talk normal. You don't have any of the tragedies you had in our present-day universe. Fucking just be people,
so
please.
Crazy. And so when you do that, I was waiting for I'm telling you, I'm thinking I might have missed it. Bruce wins the game at the one point, and I won Whalen. That's a crock. Like, everybody's yelling
That's the
stuff.
Thing is, was it in the previous issue? Was he holding a snake or was he holding a crocodile?
No, he had both. Remember, he looked like he was Mike Tyson.
Because in my mind, he had a crocodile. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit over the top. It's nothing compared to the dialogue with these friends talking at a poker game, foreshadowing who they are.
Oh my God! And there's no shock who they are, right? I mean, they are. Then at the end, of course, when Bruce wins, and we'll go through the conversation, but at the end you even have jokers aren't welcome here. Like, really? This is what we're doing here? We're playing games like this? But
just how weird is this, though? You're going to a friendly poker game, friends you haven't seen in a while, people you grew up with your entire life, though, and you're sitting there and you're asking really weird, innocuous questions, not like a type of questions you usually ask, and out of nowhere it's like, well, I don't have any cash, but how about this? And a party animal helmet they have there, where Riddler gets all freaking hard about the idea of all the servos and chips in there and what it could possibly mean for the technology involved. And I'm like, y'all just gonna let this slide? Like, you don't think this is weird?
And they even ask at one point. It reminds me though, baby on the table. That's good luck. And so again, it seems like he's doing this because he wants, Nigma. He wants Nigma to actually look at that. Why not just go to him separately?
Well, I know he's the idea creepy, of Nigma looking at it with his tech smarts, but even like Penguin's underground contacts, or even what Harvey has heard in politics.
That's not the idea of having the helmet there. I think he wants to know more about.
It's a conversation starter.
Yeah, really. So what you have is Bruce out of nowhere shows up. He ends up where he's like, "Hey, how about this?" And he has a party animal deal. Now he's like, "Hey." What it reminds me of, it's like, you probably do this because we found out last week that you don't mind nailing married broads, but the idea of one of your friends,
they don't mind
he's divorced, right? So one of your friends, and what you want to do is ask if you're allowed to. So you're hinting at it, hey, so your ex-wife, huh? It feels like that because he's
no, that's weird. I wouldn't do that. Well,
he's sitting there, but even then, he's there. Hey, how about them party animals? Pretty crazy, huh? How about that there, Penguin? And he's like, he's like, I don't know. I don't have anything to do with that. But he's asking so many questions with this, and he has that. He's a huge hulking guy. They have to know he's Batman. There's no way he can get away from this.
He brings us here. I'm telling you, he reads the game in my mind first. Everybody's sitting at the table. So you think Bruce is one of them party animals? Oh, yeah.
Either that. He's like, I don't know. I thought he was Batman. Guy's 8 foot tall. He works in these buildings, and now he has a mask, and he wants to know about it. But, yeah, you end up where Nigma says, hey, I'm going to take this home, and I'm going to do something with it. He's going to go in. He's going to go online. Look at that VR porn, Eric. It's a game changer. Yeah, end up where, again, they're going back and forth. And there was a funny deal where you have Bruce kind of asking about things, but he says, no, I was asking you, Ozzy, if you were just in, because he's very, short-fused old Ozzy, and he doesn't want to look like a bad guy, it seems. Like, he's like, I have alternative,
I'm a legitimate businessman.
Yeah,
Don't look down on me.
But the whole thing of it, he finds out that the party animals aren't into anything but causing chaos. And then you get from, what's it called? Two-Face. Harvey. He ends up saying, the idea of Jim Gordon, he's well-liked. They do like him, but he's kind of screwed. Like, things have been going wrong for him before. Even the idea where
there's a connection between Mayor Hill being like going back into the mayoral campaign to be reelected, and the idea of the party animals working for him to bring Jim Gordon down. Harvey's saying, like, no, there's no way, with all the stuff that was going on, there's no way that, like, Hill wouldn't have won against Gordon without the party animals. But for some reason, there's all this money that he hears trickling into, like, Hill's campaign, Hill's bank account, stuff like that he calls the ARC. And it's all these things that Batman wants to find out about. It seems to be a connection between him and the party animals that he has to get to the bottom of. And when he goes to Mayor Hill's offices to try to go through his computer system and find the ARC, but he finds a program that's called ARC-M. So, oh my God, Arkham. But the idea is this was a trap for some reason that Harvey led Bruce to as Batman, and the party animals were waiting for him. Roman Sionis, the Black Mask, he is there. He has led the police there. He has led all the party animals. So Batman is screwed at this point.
Yeah, and again, Alfred lets down the deal and seems to think that it's like a real hoot. Like I said, he ends up like, hey, let's see what's going on. And he wants to see how Batman reacts. And he's kind of studying him, things like that. So he does end up going. But yeah, when you go and he's trying to get this ARC-M file.
It is funny, though, because it almost comes across like a Batman 66 kind of thing. Because what I said was the ARC, but what Harvey told him is that Mayor Hill, or former Mayor Hill, has what he calls a golden chest. And when Batman's going through the programs, he's like, a golden chest, also known as a ARC-M.
Yeah, a golden chest. That's what you have. But yeah, you end up where he sees it and he's figuring it out. But in fact, it's a setup, and you even not a set, but they know he's there. They're on his tail, and you end up having the only Black Mask part of it is in this scene, and he just comes up on the video screens and says, "Hey, I kind of like you. You seem like you like to party down, right? You party hardy, but
just imagine Max Headroom with ultimate zoom."
Yeah. Oh my God, he does look horrific. I mean, if you want to make him look just scary in that way, he really does.
Just like a full-on zoom with a fisheye lens.
Yeah, it's just awful. But yeah, you end up. He says all you have to do is survive, and you do have one of the party animals come in with a missile launcher, and that doesn't take him down. I guess he ducked there because you end up where suddenly Batman's there and attacking, but what he wants to do is get the elevator shaft. And this is a crazy progression. I do like it. But at first I was a little confused of what happened. I like that Alfred's just hanging down there because Batman slides down the shaft.
I have no idea what happens in the scene, but before we get to that thing, I do want to know how it's going to work out, because when Roman's talking to him through the monitor like that, I like you, I do, you're my kind of party, so I'll make you a deal. Everything you've ever wanted, but full disclosure, you're in a bit of a spot. He goes through all the things, like all you have to do is survive. And by the end of this issue, he looks like Batman did survive, so is he going to get 3 wishes from the freaking Black Mask Genie over here?
Yeah, watch out for the monkey paw. That guy probably has a lot of them. I wouldn't go
has, yeah.
Yeah,
the monkey skull. Why not the monkey paw?
He does. I'm telling you, he's that party animal. You have to watch for him. But
when Bruce goes to the elevator shaft,
sure. It is. At first, I was confused. But
imagine this, though. The idea: you go into the elevator, you slide down the elevator shaft, you get to the bottom, you open up a trap door, you go down into that trap door where Alfred is then waiting for you, talking about, "Oh my God, everybody! I have a car out back. No need. I have a car. Well, where is it? You're in it." And all of a sudden, somehow Alfred, this whole time, has been inside this ginormous bat monster truck, and I have no idea how that happened.
Here's the thing. First off, remember, and this is what I said before about when anytime somebody says, "Oh, it's Batman without money," they're going to figure out a way. Like the idea, a Batman without money is not going to have, monster dump truck, deal. But what he did was when he built the building, that's why they had to have him be the head of the building. He built this into the building itself, where you end up going down the shaft. And then it must envelope around you when you go out. So when he does go out, it was part of the building and it breaks. It doesn't make sense. It's in reality.
Why would Alfred be inside this?
Well, I think that what it is it ends up where he does pull a thing and a lever. I think that it closes the lid on him. You end up seeing what looks like that cape kind of thing. I think that swings over on them. At one point, you just think you're in the, I know it's sexier, but you're in the shaft. And it's weird, though. Again, it's weird. It's there for the wow factor, but it almost, I said...
Like, obviously, they're in the dark. Alfred can't see in the dark, but when he gets inside his vehicle, his, Bat monster truck, like, construction vehicle, whatever the hell this thing is, Bruce is right there. He gets in a cockpit / driver's seat. I'm like, what did you think you were in here, Alfred? Did you, like, do any kind, like, how long have you been here, and what did you think you were in personally?
Yeah. It's the whole play of this, though, is, like I said, it's supposed to be for a wow factor. It's very odd. It's very much like, oh my God. But what it reminds me of, first off, with a Batman that doesn't have any money, it's very odd to have this huge ass feel. I mean, how did they?
He's a Batman who doesn't have any money. He doesn't kill, but he has no qualms on stealing.
Yeah, and getting people's toes, acided off.
That's
the
fine.
other deal, too, is they're building a building, and I want, Bruce is there, he's got the blueprints. They're like, where am I putting this fucking 800-foot wheel? Oh, that goes in the elevator shaft. You didn't hear that? Like the new elevators that they're making? Well, they have a lot of wheels.
Again, you could have different things where an elevator will go down, you get into other elevator to go down, but I just imagine you're going down this elevator, you get to the bottom of the shaft, you should be in the lobby or the basement, and this thing goes out, in my mind, it should be underground, baby.
Yeah, well, that's, it just comes, flying through here. But the deal, I just wonder
does this
where
elevator
he got
drop
the deal.
off to I'm trying to look how big this thing is. The 17th floor for how big this is?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. Again, he comes busting out, but it's so big that
what do you do with this after this? Where did you hide this when you get away from the cops?
I'm saying,
how do you drive down the street in this without taking out the other buildings?
I don't know. And it reminds me of what you said, because you don't like spiders. You're definitely afraid of them. But when you see it-legged freaks, you're like, oh, that's just goofy. This is so damn big. I mean, it's ridiculous, but he comes out. I love the idea that, like, how little I keep saying Alfred and Batman are in that. But like you said, like, also he's just wrecking cop cars and stuff.
Yep.
Like this Batman, he's causing a lot of problems.
Nobody's dead.
No, nobody's dead. But again, now what you're doing, and you said to me earlier, is
I feel like the tire is the length of like 2 vehicles wide.
Crap.
So maybe I don't know how he's missing people, but
I don't know.
Hopefully they
that one guy's
horizontal.
dead. That one guy is dead.
He's
and
fine.
Also, the automobile factory that does now, they have more work, Eric. You're right. Batman is making more. He's making more work. That one cop car is now like 80 floors up. That thing just blew up and flew up in the air. And also it looks like Alfred probably broke his neck. Look at him. He's like, you're standing in it. He's like, oh shit, really? Like I thought that was a pile of crap. But yeah, you end up having that. And again, that's pretty much the end of the issue, except for the
It's just so funny
deal.
to think about the world we live in, though. This is the Batmobile, per se. We don't have a name for it, unless it's been leaked online yet that I didn't happen to see. But just imagine when you first saw, like, Batman Begins, the idea of you saw the Tumbler for the first time, like, oh my god, this fucking thing is gigantic. Almost akin to when you saw, like, the Dark Knight Returns, the Batmobile, there's like the Bat Tank and that, and the idea, like, oh my god, that's crazy. But now we're at a point where the Bat Tank and the Dark Knight Returns is just so small compared to what the hell this is. We're just upping the ante so much in the Absolute Universe to the point of ridiculous.
It's too much. It's 8-legged freaks is what it is. And the thing again is with it all, it's just gets me like, it is, but don't ever, like, nobody tell me that, oh, this is a Batman without money, because he'll find a way. It's like nature, Eric. It finds a way. The circle of life.
You say that. I'm an Eric without money. I ain't finding shit.
Well, that's because you can't see. You can't find your way down a freaking hallway. That's what happens.
You smell some money.
But you're not Batman. So it ends up where really,
not
and
even
also,
absolute Batman.
Again, I think that I usually get this vibe a lot with, like, say, a Tom King or some other writers, not always Scott Snyder, but the idea that you haven't thought this out. Like, Bruce has really done things with city funds that he shouldn't have been doing. Like, this guy's a criminal. He ends up
just like the real Bruce Wayne.
At least that was his money. However he gets it. But the idea is like, he's like, all right, well, this building, we're over budget. Why did the elevator shaft itself cost us $3 billion? And what are these wheels? He's like,
again, this isn't our ending, because we will go to the next page with the idea. You go back to the flashback where, Bruce is all solid in his room. Selena Kyle comes in and says, come on, you're coming out with me. So you have the idea that, she was there and she's going to be a real, like, special part of his life. But This almost feels like this should have been the ending page, almost like we had in the previous issue where Batman rides off of a high-rise tower on a motorcycle. We're not supposed to, like, we wonder how he got down, but it doesn't matter. You just move on. Like that, you have the gigantic bat monster tank thing that we have here. Drive by. But where's he going to put that? It doesn't matter.
I want to see a parallel. It's like double parked at the
Tony,
Walmart.
I don't care about any of this. I just want to know where you're putting this thing that it's not going to be found.
I don't know. I expect that he's waiting for the call from the president to get rid of some protesters or stuff like Mr. Plow. That's what it looks like. It's got like that like crazy thing at the front.
Oh, yeah. You got your cow catcher.
Damn right. But at the end, you do have that flashback deal, and Selina says, you lose something. I think she meant his virginity. That's what she wants, Eric. And then she says,
children, Jim.
She says, I'll say they're a little older. They're like 20.
Oh, yeah? You can say whatever you want, I guess, huh?
Yeah, she says, get up, you're coming with me. I'm like, holy crap, this thing's getting sexy in here. But
and she did grab his medal that he wanted to sign for, that he tossed out the window because he wanted no parts of it. Yeah, it's hers now. She earned it.
Yeah, she's like, first place. I'm the first place, finder. But she ends up where it's a good play because we haven't had her physically in the book. This shows that they were close. And we thought, she's part of the crew.
She's got a hoodie with cat ears.
Exactly. Like, and the timeline, I guess it was a sliding timeline, but the idea of it would be back in the day, then I don't know. People wouldn't have went with
this
that.
This is the 2000s.
Nowadays, they're all for it. And I even have a hoodie with cat ears. How about that?
Weird.
I don't, but I could get one if I wanted to.
You could? Ain't nobody stopping you, baby.
I don't know. I think I am. But yeah, you end up where, hey, get up, you come with me. So we'll continue with that in the flashbacks.
Come with me if you want to live.
Like yeah, and I guess you'll see that she's probably the only one that will be able to kind of get him out of his funk because he likes her, Eric. I mean, likes her. But it's kind of a cool play.
She's the only girl in the friend group. Of course he does. I'm sure everybody likes her.
You know that as they get older, because they're at the point now, it's just like buddies and stuff like that. When they get a little older, there's going to be a lot of fighting. Everybody's going to be fighting over Selina. But I think that she spreads the fun, is what I think.
Weird.
Later.
Weird, Jim.
But we're done with the issue. That is the issue. What would you give it?
I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think the art is great throughout, and I like the absolute Batman story, the party animal stuff, getting to the bottom of it. It's just the absoluteness of it all just makes it to the point of, like you said, eight-legged freaks, where everybody has to be so on the nose with what they're saying, with Two-Face, Penguin. I think Riddler was a little bit more subdued. He's a little bit annoying with the way he talks, but obviously it doesn't scream Riddler off the top of your head. But everybody was just so on the nose with who they are in another universe. I'm like, just shut up. We can move on. And then you get the gigantic bat construction vehicle, and I'm like, okay, we did that. Okay, let's move on. But overall, I like these characters. I like the whole thing with Alfred trying to figure out what's going on, if he's going to be an ally to the Batman, who his employers are. All this stuff is really cool overall.
Mm-hmm. I like it too. Did you give a score? I didn't hear you give a score.
7.5 out of 10.
7.5, okay. I'm actually an 8. I think I like it a little more than I do know that I like it a little more than you.
I hope so.
But it's still a bit down from the first issue. I like the first issue a lot more. But I did like some of the things. Actually, talking went up. I was a 7.5 before we started, but I'm going to go up to an 8 as we're talking about it. And I did actually, I like the idea, and in these, you want to see the differences and things like that. And I do think that maybe we're going to get more of that idea where there is, Bruce Wayne Batman, who is a sullen guy. His dad ends up dying. He's not really close, it seems, with his mom. And how did that affect, how we're seeing this over the top violent Batman? Because what he doesn't have is Alfred. Alfred was always there to raise him and I guess you could say he didn't do a great job because the guy still ended up going off and dressing up like a bat, but still.
Thing is, Alfred raised him to a degree until he went off on his own and trained for years and years.
But that's the thing is, he's a man, Manor. Yeah, I'm a man. He ends up going off, but he, as a kid, ended up having a father figure, and Alfred had that. He doesn't really seem to have that here, and he's more, pulled back into his own deal.
Bruce.
Yeah, really.
I understand.
I mean, you and Bruce are there kicking it on the stoop. My daddy's coming this week. And then Bruce is like, my dad's dead. My dad's dead. And then you're like, well, it'll be a couple years and we'll have the same deal. And then you guys became fast friends, right? And then Croc jumps up and goes, the club. He's like, what a bunch of Croc. He's wearing, I just bought a new pair of Crocs. Like, it was, that stuff was so over the top. But I guess it has its own little, I don't know, charm to it, but it was kind of eye-rolling. Again, I still don't know, and I even saw some people nuke in the chat as we're doing this live, was talking about the idea that it might not be for him. And I don't think this book is going to be for everybody. I think there are going to be people who don't want pretty much it does feel a lot at points the new 52 Batman, but it's more of a vicious, more over-the-top Batman.
Which is weird because New 52 Batman was just Batman.
Well, it was, but it was younger, and they were supposed to be a little more edgy, is what people are calling
Again,
out.
they said younger. A guy already had a kid who was 9 years old in his 5th year in somehow.
It didn't make any sense. And again,
no, it didn't.
It was
just a continuation of Batman.
He started young like you. But tell it was a continuation of Batman to real Batman fans. They all bailed. But you end up where in this, it's a very vicious, over-the-top deal. And when people say, oh, I don't like that, they really go clap back about the Superman, the evil Superman. People are done with that or whatever. I don't know. I also hear a lot of people in the regular... Well, I see a lot of people in the regular books when they're reading them and talking about them. They're talking about, oh, man, I hate the idea that John Kent is hugging people and won't punch. So here you go. You get to see it. Now, also, Batman, he's downtown Gotham. And remember that one? It was like that Christmas deal or whatever it was where there's a bunch of, people looting and things.
When he
Batman,
hugged him?
Yeah, he goes over and gives him a hug.
Yeah, I don't know who that was, but Batman was on the meds. He was popping the Percocets at night.
So that are up. But that's what I'm saying is, it's not like you're getting a Batman who's punching people in the face a lot of times in the regular deal. So I don't mind it. I don't mind going and seeing that here. And again, he's prepared. You have Alfred's like his PR guy, as he's doing the thing. But with all of that, it's just a weird play. The thing that bothers me the most, and it bothered me from the get-go, was that play of, hey, it's a Batman without money, and don't even start.
I'm telling you, it's supposed to be like a poor man bat god. I'm just not seeing the poor man aspect to a lot of what we're dealing with.
And that's been, bandied about, and we said at the one point in the regular run, and Tynan, when he was doing it, there was going to be that, and it just disappeared. And then he was tech all the time. What happened? And then Mariko Tamaki was got, but it always is. They start with it and then realize, oh shit, you know what people like? A competent Batman with gadgets. I remember at one point that the big press release or something about it was that, oh, this is a different Batman. When he throws batarangs after the fight, he's going to have to go and collect them. I don't think I want to see that. Can you imagine afterwards?
No,
he's like,
that's
hey,
why
everybody,
he has all them Robins.
And he's like going to get it. That'd be funny. They come out of the shadows. Like, yes, sir. And they go and pick him up.
Steph Brown, Duke Thomas, I got an important mission for you.
And then as that's going on, Oliver Queen swoops in and is like, what a dick. And then goes off because something she has to collect I love anytime Oliver Queen goes to Gotham, it's like a ticker tape parade. He's just throwing money in the air as he's going, woo, woo, woo. And Batman's chasing him down.
Fuck, even Ted Cord's doing that shit in his face.
Oh, yeah, just throwing money. Yay, Lex is doing Everybody's throwing money at poor Bruce. Oh, that'd be great. That'd be so good. But
he dances for nickels, I hear.
He probably does. Can you imagine that he's dancing? That would be so good.
Nips and hips.
The whole thing though is that's not interesting. So what you do is you end up doing some things, but now we go so over the top. But I thought it was interesting enough overall of these issues, and I'm still into the absolute deal. I am not as much. The world building, but I like more the character building in this with the friends and things, even though it was a little over the top. It's neat to see. A lot of people didn't like that. I saw a lot of people were saying that was their least favorite part was the friends.
I like this, and I like what Wonder Woman's doing with the origin story of Wonder Woman. When we get to the absolute Superman, we're doing so much world building with the Lazarus Corp and Agent Lane and the Peacemaker troops and stuff like that. We have a lot going on there, worldwide stuff that Superman's dealing with a gigantic world.
I think it's more Krypton. That's what I did.
You got a lot of Krypton. Honestly, I could deal with some more Krypton on that.
You can deal with that.
There's way too much.
It would be for me, hey, everybody, I'm going to show you how to do, and then you're not going to do. Krypton's going to blow up. It's going to blow up. That book is the one that people are yelling most about. So hopefully that improves. Again, that's a lot of Jason Aaron hate as well. So we'll see. But that is it for the show. Thanks everybody for listening, and we're still liking it. You're a little more down on this one than I was, but still a 7.5 is like everybody else's 10.5. I think the old 10.5. I did.
What did I give the previous issue? 7.8 or 7.5? Because I was around that.
I thought I gave it a 9. I think I really liked it. But I'm Mr. Positivity though. I'm here to spread the love.
You can always count on Jim and his numbers.
I got to do these with them. Well, that's the thing because I never remember them afterwards. Here, Liz. Can you hear how big those pills are just by me shaking? Listen to that.
Oh yeah,
they're huge. These things for my scabies. I'm overdue. I gotta take one. Every time I'm like sitting here,
you got to make sure that scrapple gets off your skin.
I think that I feel like Killer Croc. I do. It's disgusting. But thanks everybody again. We are doing this live. If you end up where each week when there is a absolute, I want to say absolute power all the time, an absolute DC issue come out, we'll do it live at 7:15 Eastern time, Eric. The only time we'll do it live on the whole YouTube. I'm getting used to the deal. Nuke even asked, hey, are they actually, like, they didn't really know if we were really live because of the idea of us not interacting, but I tried to a little. It's just tough. A lot of times when you have these, there's more than two guys going, and so you kind of have one guy interacting, and Eric, he's not involved. You said, I'm good.
I'm doing stuff.
No, you're not. But yeah, I'll get more into it. Also,
I've talked to everybody.
The idea with it, too, I ended up having some pictures, realized halfway through, oh crap, I had pictures. And so I started putting those up, but I only got to the Bat building. That's what I got to because I waited too long. So I'll figure it out. There's a lot of moving parts for me. The way this system that we're doing it, maybe we could figure out something better as well. But we'll do that. But thanks everybody for showing up. Thanks everybody. And then if you are interested on our regular deal, we have our regular podcast that comes out on the regular feed on Sunday night. I'll just let everybody know quick what we're talking about this week. It's Action Comics number 1075. The Phantom Zone Krypton. I can't get away from that place. This thing blew up. It's blowing up. It's blowing up everywhere right now. Yeah, Batman and Robin number 15. A story that really does remind me of the Grant Morrison Gothic.
Batman Gothic.
Yeah, and which makes sense because everybody seems to be dipping into some Morrison, even over at Marvel these days.
For like
it's
20
crazy.
Years.
Yeah, it's worse now. Every big book seems to be doing it overall. Chip Zdarsky has a hard-on for it. You have Jed McKay doing his X-Men that's just grabbing stuff from it. So two of the bigger books out there doing that stuff. We also have the Black Lightning #1. Weird issue. I read that today as well. I expected it to be worse, is what I'll say. I went into it thinking, oh, here we go. I'm not a big fan of Brandon Thomas. So when we go into it, I was like expecting worse. I was pleasantly surprised, except at the end when I thought, not much happened here. Not much going on. But I want to see what you say. It does end up feeling a lot like the Doom Patrol. You even said it from the solicit, the idea. Yeah. And also, when you have it, you have that play with Lazarus Reign. Oh, my God, everybody's got these wacky-ass powers and whatnot. That kind of just was like pick and choose and then fit. Now it's again. It's the same thing.
Well, it's the exact same story. I'm telling you, the Doom Patrol went after people who were granted meta powers after the Lazarus Reign came down before they could be taken by the government or cause anybody any pain this time. Now we have absolute power done where powers were sent back through, the Amazo robots, given to people who now have meta powers, and Jefferson Pierce has to take care of them before the government grab them or they can hurt people.
Okay, get this, sir. The powers that people are getting aren't necessarily other people's powers now. What they say is it's activating a dormant meta gene. I'm like, it's just the same.
There you go.
It's not even different. It's not even
dead. I'll tell you, the thing is, this might have been something in the can from the Lazarus Reign that was just rewritten for this.
Yeah, you in the can. The idea, like, it's some assholes running down, like, the streets of Metropolis yelling, the Terrigen Mist is coming. Like, get
Stop
out of the way.
That. Don't you dare bring up Terrigen Mist in my presence.
Oh, hey, what's going on? I think that Johnny Storm, I think he's a mutant. Oh, no, he's an Inhuman. I don't know what he is, but he has a mustache.
Shut
now.
up.
He has this handlebar mustache right now. It's so crazy. But it's like the whole play of, okay, you're just doing it again. Like, you had an idea, like...
Well, I'm telling you, that... Even though we're all in right now at DC Comics, it just seems like, hey, nobody remembers Infinite Frontier. Let's just do it again.
That's what keeps happening.
We're recycling a lot of things right now. I'm surprised if more 5G shit won't show up out of nowhere.
I mean, where's Yogi Berra? It's deja vu all over again. That's what it is. And so when you do it, like I was expecting, I was expecting, like, okay, what we're going to see in this Black Lightning. They're going to find the person who has Barry Allen's, speed force. Oh, that'd be neat. Like this guy's fit. No. They find some yuckies in the bathroom. He was being bullied, Eric. And then emotional reaction is what ends up bringing the dormant gene out. And I'm like, all right, we're just doing X-Men stuff. We're doing Lazarus Reign stuff. It felt really, really weird. Like, and I think that what happened with
Dr.
Lazarus
Elemental
Reign
will be all over this shit.
Yeah, it is Elemental. You end up when you had the whole Lazarus Reign even, they didn't seem to get the memo out, so everybody explained it different. I think that's what we're going to get. But you like Black Lightning, and you love his daughters, right? You love them a long time, I heard. And
Weird.
they're in it, but it's a weird play. I will spoil one thing for you. It's not a spoiler, but just so you don't get too upset. At the beginning of the issue, you're going to think they're dead. They weren't dead. It's a real weird play to almost think there was a Sophie's Choice, and at least one or both are dead, but they are not. Black Lightning didn't have a great time during the whole Absolute Power. He had some issues there. His daughters don't really trust him
I'm sure he fared better than Ralph Dibny.
I don't know. He ended up not being able to save his two daughters. It's pretty bad. And he
just like also, Hourman wasn't able to save Jesse Quick, and now she's pissed off at him.
Yeah, Ralph Dibny got the crap kicked out of him. Right? It's so like the crap kicked out of him like big time. But in that too, the whole play of it is that they're going and finding. It's the same story. You said it's the Doom Patrol. But we'll see, and it gives Black Lightning something to do. It's a weird pick, though. Why would Black Lightning do that? I don't know.
I don't know. I like to see Black Lightning.
He was
back,
a teacher. Superman is like he gets called to the office, and Superman acts like a big to do. You should have saw that guy. And you have Green Lantern number 17, a book that a lot of people have loved. I haven't read that yet. I kind of went through, and lo and behold, the cliffhanger, which I won't reveal, pretty much what we said was going to happen. For a year or so. So it's something that we just knew was going to happen.
Nate Dogg is going to be crying all over everybody.
Nate Dogg's not in it. I actually said today, Nate Dogg is, he's been absent. I think that what is going on here is they're going to hold him off and we'll have an annual with Nate Dogg and Carol. And you know what's going to happen.
They're not going to bring him back for the Fractal Lanterns when the Green Lantern Corps comes out in February?
You think that'd be crazy. Well, that Green Lantern Corps might have like a deal that, well, I won't. It'll end up spoiling the ending. But in that, I don't want Nate Dogg. Sorrow Lantern is lame. But yeah, this issue, Sinestro, I see. Yeah. Sinestro picks it up. He does some things, right? You like him?
Carol, why don't you love me? Is it because I got the shingles?
It's great. That's the Sorrow Lantern. Oh my God, I got the shingles, Carol. Come on. We get married here. Why, what are you leaving? I love when she tried to explain the deal, and she's like, listen, I don't want to upset you, but my true love's Hal. Like, that would make it better. Like, she just, lie a little. Say, listen, I'm experimenting right now.
Ryan doesn't get you through everything, Jim.
Well, it might have not made a Sorrow Lantern. You just say, I'm going to head out. We're not going to get married right now. I have other things to do. Quick, I'll be back. Just wait for him. Just do that or something. You're now going to be going to Cosmos. Probably never see him again. But he's there. And I don't like that.
He's going to go find Telos on that asteroid we left him with Parallax.
Really, those two. And then get Pariah with him. We could have a freaking trio of nonsense. Pariah's screaming. Yeah, freaking Nate Dogg, he's crying. And Telos is like, what the hell am I doing here? And then he's like, I had a planet named after me. Like, God darn it.
I'm Arik, the son of Thunder.
I'm Arik, the son of Thunder. They're like, who? He's like, now he's crying.
Exactly.
He's crying. The thing, though, is that he is probably the best of those characters, of those three.
No.
Nobody likes Pariah. Nate Dogg is terrible. He has to be. Telos, at
least Pariah felt more important for what he did for DC Comics than Telos or freaking Sorrow Lantern, so far at least.
Telos is the leave Britney alone of the DC universe. He's just crying and yelling and screaming. Nate Dogg, though, he is me. Everything upsets him. He's just... Also, like me, I don't like to be cheered up. You try to cheer me up, I get more miserable. But that is it for this show. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody in the live chat. Hopefully, people will get involved more, and then that me and you will get involved more with the chat. It's just the idea of going back and forth and talking to Eric. I got to be on my toes. Unlike those party animals, Eric. They ain't got no toes now. Those things were burned off. I'm telling you, Nate, maybe I would rather die than maybe. I keep thinking
you say that every day and you're fine.
I keep wanting to say the idea. Oh, well, I will tell you, I got my blood test back, and for some reason, I wanted to have something horrifically wrong with me just so I could be right at you. The idea is Eric, I have 3 weeks to live, so take that. You jerk. That's why I haven't been. It would have been awesome. I would have smiled off to the pearly gates. I would have been so happy. I got my last laugh at you. Dead, Eric. And then I'd
be fine.
I'd be just hanging. The best though is, and not even because of passwords or whatever, as I'm done, it shuts down immediately, and people are like, what the hell happened? But I can't find you anywhere. Maybe I have a package that'll be sent When I end up, there's like going to the pearly gates. When I end up, and I mean pearly gates, when I end up dying, I have set up a intricate bunch of uploads that'll blow the lid off of everything. Is what I'll do. Like they do it like they have in the movies or something like that. I'm just
sitting here like you're having trouble figuring out YouTube. How are you going to do all this?
Oh yeah, I'm not going to be able to figure it out. There's no way. YouTube. I'm saying what happened too that people didn't realize is the idea where when we started, I'm like, here we go, and then it didn't work. So then I have to go. Then we come on, and my mic isn't working. Like, what is going on here? I say I'm a bit of a I guess I am more of a technophobe than a file. But there you go. You're a file of sorts, Eric. I'll tell you.
Okay.
That's what the whole package that's going to get uploaded. No. You don't like cinnamon. You told me. So, and that is true. You don't like cinnamon at all. That's weird. That and mushrooms that you don't like of the regular variety. The magic. Have you done magic? Or you just go straight to acid?
They're gross.
Yeah, they are. I got fooled into it. That one time I told you the guy put it on pizza, and who can resist pizza, right?
I did it a bunch of times, but it was gross every time.
Yeah, they are. It's like it does look like that
peanut shells. It tastes like shit.
I'm telling you, it's like just something that was in your fridge for 3 years that you didn't see, and then you eat it. I think that's all it is.
Clean your fridge.
Nonsense. Yeah, our fridge does need to be cleaned. There's a lot of weird stuff. I ended up at one point just the other day. I'm like, oh, we have some cottage cheese. Oh God. It's like 7 months expired. It's Logan, so I don't touch it because he's very big on buying a lot of like very perishable things and then not eating, and it just sits there. And then I see him, he looks at it and puts it right back in. I'm like, it's not going to get better. You can't go the next year. It doesn't work that way. Like if it says November 23rd, that means this year. And he just keeps doing that. A lot of eggs in the thing. We got to do that. We got to do that though. Got to get it done. But that's it. That is it. So thanks everybody again for listening. Eric, what do we say at the end of the Absolute Weird Science show?
We're closing the Omega portal. Until next time, keep it absolutely weird.
Every other show sucks. That's why you're listening to us. Every other show sucks. We're the only one that isn't us. So thank you for being smart. From the bottom of our heart. Thank you for being smart. 'Cause everything that us just thinks like a fart. They stink like a fart. Thinks like a fart. Like a fart. They stink like a fart. Let's go! 2, 3, 4, 5. Eric has read comics. Most of his like 9, 8, 7, 6. Jim can really act like a shut your mouth. Every other show.